evening, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you've all had a good day. Have to excuse me, I need to get all my tools out again before we can crack on and start the day servicing. One downside to, I guess, working in London is the carrying of tools back and forth day after day. But it's not too bad. So this is the basket. We've got the 2824 for the constant, and that'll be the first thing we will start on today. Also managed to get the case cleaned yesterday. Not sure how far I'll get into casing it up, just due to tools required, with it being a snap-on case, or bezel should I say. I don't want to mark the bezel pressing it down. I haven't got the nylon presses, I've only got the aluminium glass press. Excuse me. But I'll take a look, we'll see. I think that's most of my tools out that I'll need today. Should be good to go. I'm just going to check zoom cam, main cam. Everything looks good. Everything seems stable on the stream. I hope it's coming through the other end nicely. I haven't seen the quality of the clean. I'm not sure if my fluids need changing yet. But I reckon they'll be fine. But the plan will be to start the day off just assembling this 2824. And then we've got the 7750, which we managed to assemble yesterday, but we need to case it up, and there is an issue which I need to rectify. It's to do with the chronograph of the recording center seconds, but it'll be easier to rectify that issue with it in the case. So that is the game plan. We'll get it in the case, and then from there I'll be able to make the adjustment. Okay. I'm just going to get everything out of the baskets into the pot. And then we can start the actual assembly. But it seems that the machine has done a very good job. Hello, my friend, with which the watch parts are mostly washed. Oh, they've all been washed on this occasion. Hopefully they're mostly clean. That's the important bit. But so far, it's looking good. Okay, that's everything from the baskets. Ooh. There's the mainspring. Put the baskets away. And we can crack on. So as I mentioned, this is a 2824. It's a nice simple automatic. I'm not in a rush, so probably take an hour or two. Assuming there are no issues, that is. But rarely do they give issues. They're pretty solid, the 2892s. Right, let's get the camera ready. There we go. Make sure that you guys are in focus. We'll get the base plate all set up and we can crack on. Beautiful. I hope everyone's doing well. Probably be online for 2 or 3 hours. It's what, 10 to 8 at the moment. Probably call it about 10, half 10, depending on how we go. So let's make a start. First thing I'm going to do is just take out the balance, just to kind of remove any risk of damage until it actually needs to go in. And what I was thinking of doing is, with the footage recorded from the live streams, is I should be able to actually make some shorts, some YouTube shorts. So I may edit a few bits just for the channel out of these live streams. The shorts aren't too bad to edit and create. It's the more main channel videos that take time. So if I can get a few shorts out, that'd be nice. Okay. Also, before I really get started, I was going to top up my grease, because my 8300 grease is actually quite low. crazy how quickly I burn through the grease and oil when continuously servicing and using them. I'll just use my screwdriver just to get some grease out. There we go. That should do the trick. And we're back. So I'm going to start with the keyless and then work our way around the barrel onto the train. So I've currently got, there's the stem, I need the winding and the sliding pinion. When I assemble the keyless, or at least the stem, I'll grease the stem prior to putting it in. I've known some people that would like to actually have it all assembled and then grease, whereas I try and pre-grease the stem and then insert it. Okay, I've got my sliding pinion. I'm just looking for the winding pinion. Got it. So we've got the stem here. I'm just going to take a little bit of grease. Just kind of circle the stem and just spread some grease nice and even. I'll put a little bit on the end as well. And now for the fiddly part, trying to get this lined up. Okay. So the stem is now in. Oh, hang on, let me try and adjust the focus a little bit here. There you go. That's better. So now to finish off the keyless, I'll turn it over. We'll work on this side, the dial side. I'm just getting all the components I'm going to be needing for the keyless. Hang on a second. Nope, oh, there we go. For a second I couldn't get the setting lever to engage with the stem. Oh, that light's a bit bright. Try and dim you down a little bit. Okay, just need the yoke. And then we can put the cover plate on. So that's all the internal bits, at least, of the keyless. Now it's got to put the plate on and screw it down. And try to pick up the right screw. 1 second. There we go. Let's go put the screw in. And I'm not going to torque it all the way down, just enough to kind of hold it in place. And then once it's held, I can make all the adjustments I need, make sure everything is engaged, and then torque it down. Beautiful. And that's without any grease. So as you can imagine now, the next step is to get some grease on here. A general rule of thumb is when metal touches metal, you want to grease it. And then usually jewels or oil. Kind of play with it to let the grease spread to where it should be. A little bit more grease from the other side. But this light's quite glaring, isn't it? I've got 2 settings for it, so hopefully that's a little bit better. So I was using a filament bulb for the overhead light, the watchmaker's light, whereas now I'm running LED lights, which I think is way better. Also found that the older filament bulbs, the lights, would affect the audio, or at least for the mic, this particular mic, would pick up a buzzing sound. I believe that's now been dealt with the LEDs. There we go. Lovely. They might actually be outside. 1 second. I've got my blinds open, so I'm not sure if the daylight's actually affecting the camera. Maybe slightly. Right, the keyless is It's all good. So next I'll be going on to the barrel. And I was asked yesterday about hand winding or using the mainspring winders. Today I will be using my hands. I was gonna hand wind them. So no hand winders today. Hand winders. No mainspring winders. So we've got the barrel. Got the barrel cap. Got the mainspring. And there's the barrel arbor. I'll put it onto a zoom cam when I put the arbor in, but for this I'll just keep it zoomed out. Where's my grease? So all I'm going to do, just start off with, I'm just going to grease the inside wall of the barrel. So this will be what the mainspring is slipping up against. I'll then put a little bit of 8300 on the surface, and then I'll wind the mainspring in. Sorry, it's quite hard to actually get a good angle here. I'll try to go on to... There we go. That might actually be better for this until I get to the mainspring part. There we go. So that's the walls now greased. Let's put a few splodges of 8300. Oh, I see one wall I've missed. I'll go back and fill that in. So 4 blobs. One second, just want to make sure that our connection's still all good. I'm still like a bit sketched out about the internet potentially failing or affecting the quality, but looks like we're all good at the moment. So I just pulled the camera out and I will now try and hand wind the mainspring. How am I going to do it? Well, I've got to try and go in at an angle. The first part is the hardest, and that's just trying to get that first coil started. Once you get the first bit in, it's actually not that hard. Okay, first coil, first bit of the spring is in. So from here, it's nice and easy, as long as I don't lose my grip. The rest of this mainspring is quite easy. Okay, sadly I got one of my fingers doesn't have a finger cock, so I might just have to clean up the barrel a little bit of any marks, but neither here nor there. Sometimes the finger cocks get in the way and they actually get pinched in between the coils of the mainspring. But nope, that actually went nice and smooth. And there you go. So the mainspring is now inside the barrel. That went actually very, very smoothly. So I'm not going to complain. Next, a little bit of Rodico, just helps holding things in place. In this case, it's going to help hold the barrel arbor. Because then I can apply some grease to the arbor. Oh, didn't really pick up much there. A little bit of grease. And then I can fit the arbor into the barrel. Oh, come on you, there we go. There's a little, like almost like a little latch on the arbor which grips the mainspring, so you've got to make sure that's lined up properly. And that's a success. It's the same as what I've done with the barrel cap. I'm just going to put a few dollops of grease, and then I can put the cap on. And you should hear a click once it's fitted. And there was indeed a click. So the barrel is now assembled. So you can bring our base plate over. Oh, that was the camera shutting off. Let's put a little bit of grease in the jewel that will hold the barrel arbor. I'm also going to put the grate wheel in first, because sometimes getting that in can be a squeeze with the barrel already in. I'm also just checking that the pivots are okay, everything seems in order, so everything can be used. Here's the grate wheel. And there's the barrel. So before I put the barrel bridge on, I'm going to put a tiny bit more grease just at the top here of the barrel, because that will be where the barrel bridge sits. And I've also got to fit the stop piece. I'll show you where the stop piece goes now. It's this little gold finger looking thing. There we go. And that will sit inside the sliding pinion. So when you pull the stem out, that stop piece will then touch the balance wheel and stopping it. I'm just going to apply a little bit more grease. Onto the barrel arbor. Going to take the barrel bridge and just very carefully place it into position. Not sure what the light's like. It's creating this very shining glare on the base plate. I hope it's not too reflective. But anyway, moving on, we've got 3 screws that will hold this bridge down. So I'll go ahead and get those fitted. There we go. Just making sure those screws are torqued down so they don't come loose. And that's the barrel in. There are some checks that you can do just to make sure that your end checks are good. You can take some pegwood, place it into the arbor. In fact, you can see even on the camera it's moving up and down ever so slightly. So we have barrel end shake. The other check would be barrel arbor end shake, which you'll then take the barrel out and hold the arbor and see if the arbor moves. But I'm now going to move on to assembling the train. Just get some oil all set and ready. So I need the center wheel, the third wheel, and the escape wheel. Third wheel gauging to the great wheel. Center wheel, as you can imagine, goes in the center. And the escape wheel at the very end engages with the centre wheel. Then take the train bridge. And it fits like so. The train bridge has 2 screws, but before I actually screw this down, I need to make sure all the pivots are engaging with their jewels correctly. Otherwise, what can happen is you'll screw it down and you'll snap a pivot, which is obviously not what we want. So I was gonna just play around, make sure all the pivots are in place. I don't want to break anything. I think that's good. Yep, power is going through the train when I move the barrel, so the pivots are aligned. And 2 screws for the train bridge. And there's 1 screw. And there's the 2nd screw. Just make sure that's torqued down. Lovely. And now what I'm going to do is fit the crown wheel, which will sit here, and the ratchet wheel, which sits on top of the barrel. I'm also going to need to get the click and the little click spring. So I'm just trying to get all the bits ready. Where did I put it? There's the click, just found it. This little guy here, and there's a little U-shaped spring. I've got to try and find. It's in there somewhere. So he says. Oh, nope, got it. Hiding from me. And magnetized. So there is a, oh, that light. there's a little groove just here that this little U-shaped spring will sit into. Right, that's the clip. Oh, sorry, not the clip. That's the spring in. I just find it's easier to drag it in. Got better control holding it rather than trying to push it in. That's when it will spring out and potentially lose it. In goes the click. And now it's going to put a bit of grease where the crown wheel is going to sit. And this grease will spread with time, so you haven't got to put it everywhere. Don't flood the plate with grease. I would say I'm quite moderate with the amount of grease I put on. I put on a decent amount. And this part can be fun, trying to get the crown into place without disrupting the click. Oh, there's a little hair there. That's all gone. Nice, okay. Crown wheel is in position. Oh, hello. Balance jewel was stuck to the crown wheel. Let's not lose that. Right, and that's the crown wheel in position. Just running nice and smooth. That's what we want. And next we can fit the ratchet. And that's a beautiful sight. Power going through. So I'll just fit the ratchet screw, and then we'll get to oiling all the jewels. And torquing down the ratchet screw can be fun, just because you'll want it, it'll want to just slip, or not slip, but like go straight into winding before you can actually torque it. So I'll just take a hand pusher to hold the crown wheel, which will prevent the ratchet from moving, and just torque it down without any spinning. So we have power through the train. The light is like really bugging. I'm gonna try and get a different angle. Maybe there's alright. But next we will move on to oiling the jewels. And as you can see, we've got 4 jewels. And the escape will here. The great wheel, third wheel, center wheel, I will use a heavy oil. And the escape wheel, yeah, great wheel, third wheel, center wheel, it's a thicker, heavier oil. Escape wheel, a lighter oil. 9010 for the escape wheel, and I think it's 9104 for the rest. Just be sure to not get any oil like going over the top of the jewel or making a mess. Got to be quite careful. Don't overdo it. And that's all the jewels from the bridge side. I'm going to turn it over onto the dial side and do the same again. Okay. Just gonna this light is blinding. Maybe that's a bit better. Maybe I'll pull this back a little bit. Okay. So we now have the train in position, oiled, everything is greased. The train wheels are running nice and smooth. So next it'll be the escapement. So we'll put the pallets in, pallet bridge, and then the balance. Give me 1 second. Try and get focus a bit better. What do I use to wash all the what's that, parts? Is that what you're referring to? As in, what do I use to clean the watch parts? Just want to make sure before I go into any details that is what you're after. Okay. So the pallets are what engage with the escape wheel. I've got the pallets right here. And the pallets are in. But yeah, if you were asking about what I use to clean the watch parts, I have a watch cleaning machine, Grainer. Actually, you picked it up a few months back now. It's not an automatic with an ultrasonic feature, so it runs quite nicely. It's you can't really get them these days, and the more modern cleaning machines are running for like 15-20 grand. So yeah, they're not exactly cheap. This one I paid a few grand for, but it's an older version. There are two screws holding down this pallet bridge. Get those torqued down. So now, when I wind it, you'll see the power doesn't go through the train, because now it's all being controlled and moderated by the pallets. I'm just going to put a bit of power on, because next I will oil up the pallet stone faces. Just all the pallets. And this I'll be using the 941. You also might not see much here because I need to get in quite close. So bear with me. So I'll put a little bit of oil on the face of the pallet jewel. I'll take it round, so 5-6 times. And then do it again. I'll do it a few times. I want to make sure there is sufficient oil that's on the pallets, so I know it's well lubricated, and I'll do it until I am satisfied, basically. I think one more should do it. One more little dollop of oil. I think that should do the trick. Yep. I am happy with that. Okay. So with the pallets now in position and oiled, we can now fit the balance. And it should spring to life, even without the balance jewels. And look at that. She's off. I'm gonna get the screw it down. Wrong screw. Second. There we go. And that's the screw for the balance in now. And currently there are no balance jewels in place, but it is ticking quite happily even without them, which is always a very positive sign. And as you can imagine, the next step will be to oil the balance jewels and get those fitted. Sadly, the timing machine that I have here doesn't work, so I wouldn't be able to give you the readings, which kind of sucks, but I'm afraid I can't do much about that. Sorry, just trying to clear some tabs. Yeah. I'm new to the world of watches, but it would mean a lot if you could tell me what I could use to wash watch parts for little money as beginner. Sorry for bothering you, and thank you, my man. Okay, so what can you use to clean watch parts? Obviously, the standard way would be a watch cleaning machine, and you would use cleaning solutions and rinse solutions. That's the pricey way of doing it. What alternatives are there? What other cleaning based solutions are there? If there's something I want to do, make it clean quickly, and I don't want to put it through a machine, I would use lighter fluid. Lighter fluid's a pretty good cleaner. I'll have to look into what else is really used. Lighter fluid is my go-to. Otherwise, it'd be a watch cleaning machine. But yeah, lighter fluid is good for degreasing and cleaning when you don't want to put it through a whole cycle. And don't worry about bothering me, that's why I'm doing the stream. Ask questions, I'll do my best to answer. That's why I'm doing it. There's no need to feel bad about it. Alright, I'm just going to put some Rodico here. And the reason why will make sense very soon, because I'll be oiling the balance jewels, which, if you know, can be quite fiddly. So I would like them to stay in position as I'm getting the oil sorted. And the jewels are comprised of two parts. We've got the cap and the, I guess, the base. I'm not even sure what the main parts are referred to as. We're going to oil this cap. Looks so small even with my zoom in camera. I'm just going to use some 9010. Place it right in the middle. Oil it isn't picking up a whole great deal of oil, so I'm having to do a few journeys back and forth. And what I'll do is, once I have it ticking and the balance jewels are in position, I'll put it under a very, very sensitive camera, so you can see all the oil. You can judge my work, because this camera it's not bad, but it's not going to be super detailed. Alright, that's the first jewel done. Obviously we have a top and bottom, so we've got a second one to do. So I might not talk much during these more sensitive, delicate bits. Got to focus up a little bit. Okay, both balance jewels are oiled, which can bring us back to the movement. And what I have to do now is just unhitch or unhook the inker box spring. I use an oiler personally. Alright, that's the first jewel in. Turn it over and do the second. And then I'll get it under a micro camera so you can see the oil that I've done. Come on, you. This one, oh, actually it's been weakened. There we go. Okay. So both jewels are now in. Let's give it some wind, and it's ticking beautifully. I'm going to see if I can get this set up under the micro camera. Give me 1 second. Okay, so what you're looking at now, what you can see is the balance staff inside the balance jewel. That's actually really impressive. It's the first time I've done it with this camera. So that was the balance jewel that we've just oiled. Thank you, man. Thanks for your advice. Greetings from Serbia. No worries, my friend. No worries. Let me know how it all goes if you do try and clean with what I've said, or if you find any alternatives, you're welcome to let me know as well. I'm always open to new ideas and new methods. It's very hard for me to now show you exactly how much oil is, but you can see the ring of oil within that jewel, which is, I would say, it's a near perfect amount. I'd maybe a tiny bit more for absolute perfection, but that is honestly pretty good. And now I'm going to see if I can show you maybe the train. No, that's the stud. No, that's not stud, that's the curb pins. That's the stud. It's getting late, okay? I'm tired. Where am I going? Oh, there's a jewel. The sheer amount of detail on this camera is actually kind of crazy. You can see the teeth. And you see it going round. It's actually really impressive. Okay, so let's go back onto the zoom cam. Because that's now basically most of the watch done. All we've got to do now is the automatic and the dial side. And what, we're 17 minutes in? We're taking our time, we're not rushing this. There's no rush. As I said, the timing machine that I did have here is not working, so I can't show you or do the timekeeping adjustments here. So I was going to go straight on to the next step, which will be the automatic. Let's get all the automatic components out and ready. Looks like some bits might have gotten stuck together in the machine. Make sure there's no residue or anything. And I need the screw. There it is. Cool. Just a bit of grease. I'll oil the wheels once it's all assembled. But the post for this wheel's now been greased and good to go. checking the pivots. Pivots looking good. Pivots are good. So we can get those in place. The top plate. Hold it in place. I'm just going to use a hand pusher just to hold it as I screw down the screw. Just make sure everything moves freely, which it does. And now I can oil the jewels. So we've got 3 on each side. I'm using the thick oil, 9104. What you can see on screen at the moment is my eyeglass. So don't worry. I use the 12X usually. I know a lot of people maybe use a weaker eyeglass for most things. I usually use something a bit stronger. Just personal preference. I'm doing the other 3 on the other side. There we go. All the oil for the automatic done, which means we can fit it onto the movement. Get it nice and lined up. And then what I want to do is I just want to wind just to allow all the teeth to engage. So I now know that when I go to tighten it, nothing's going to be overlapping where it shouldn't be. Don't want to damage any teeth. And the automatic on the 2824 is held down by 2 blue screws. So you can't really get them mixed up with anything else. Lovely. There we go. So it's now the movement and the automatic done. I can hear, you can actually hear the slipping of the mainspring. That's good. It's not rough, it's not stiff. It goes around smoothly, which is what we want. Just give me 1 second. And I'm back. least briefly. Okay. So now it's going to switch it over to a different movement holder. Because now we're on to the dial side. Got a bunch of posts to grease first. So we'll start with that. Still using the 8300 for the grease here. And for the cannon, because it's like a friction device, being a friction device, you want to put a little bit of grease just in the middle where the friction actually happens. There we go. And with that greased, I'll put it into place. There's not much left to do now on this particular watch, because once we've got the date disc in, it's just dial hands up. The case is clean, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if I will be fitting the case together, because ideally I would like to be using like a nylon press, whereas all I have are aluminium presses, and I don't want to scar or mark the bezel. So I may just get this up to dial hands and I'll case up another time. So setting wheel, minute wheel, rapid date function. Just gonna get a bit of Rodico to pick up our date disc. So we'll be needing that soon. I'm sorry, my fingers get in the way at this point. We'll just change camera angles a little bit. Hopefully the quality is up to par. And this one probably not as good as the zoom cam, or the zoomed in camera, but now my hands aren't in the way, so you can actually see what I'm doing. Just making sure the screws are torqued properly, don't want anything coming loose. I'm going to get, actually no, the date disc can go in last. This one's got a nice feature for the plate where the slots of the, or the teeth of the date disc can go in. It's a very handy feature. I like it at least. Zoom this in. Zoom in. go. That's probably a bit better. Now the cannon pinion, no, so not the cannon pinion, the hour wheel. And then the date disc. There we go. Okay, so now, actually, let me just put in this. Date disc goes round. This light is just blinding. The reflectiveness is too much. I'll put it back a little bit. There we go. Hopefully a little bit better. So what I'm going to do now is just put a little bit of grease on that spring that engages with the date disc. So halfway. Get a little bit of grease. And just on the face of the spring. I'm also just going to check that it goes over manually. Loads up and goes over. Lovely. That's what we want. Move out of the way. And back onto this movement holder. I feel like my voice is starting to go, which is not a good. That's not a good sign, but should be okay. So before I put the dial on, I'm just going to fit dial washer. And this is the dial spacer. Okay, you can't really see it, but I'm just opening up these dial foot hooks. I'll make sure everything's lined up, which it is not at the moment. Come on. There we go, that's better. Okay, now we're lined up. We can get the dial. And get it very, very carefully into position. And press down. Now the dial is on. I'm just going to go underneath and tighten up the dial feet hooks. So I've been so used to working on Rolexes lately that I keep referring to them as dial feet screws because they use screws for the dial feet on Rolexes. Whereas the ETAs, at least majority of the ones I've worked on, use hooks to hold the dial feet in place. Nice. Okay, 1 second. Let's move this light. I'm also going to go get the case for this thing. I know I've got to put the hands on still, but we're getting there. So the dial is on. Just got the case out off the heater. But next, we need to get the hands on. And we're, oh geez, an hour and a half in. That's how long it's taken to get here. But we're in no rush. See, there's some debris on the dial. Just want to just prod it a little bit of Rodico. And now, pulled it out into handset, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around until the date changes over, and at that point I'll fit the hour hand at 12, because that will indicate midnight. And if you remember, I just went round when I was testing it, so I've got to do a full rotation again. I've just saw the disc want to move, so I'll slow down, and it's just gone over. So I'll now take the hour hand, set it straight at 12, and then press it down. Oop, got stuck on my hand pusher. No harm, no foul. I'll get another one. It went down. I'm not fully happy with how it's seated. There we go, that should do. And with that now at 12, I'll also take the minute hand and get that set to 12. I'm sorry, there's a bit of a glare there from the hand. Okay, so that's now the hour and minute hand in position. I just want to do a test run, see when it changes over, make sure it's lining up with the batons. It's going off. The date went over about 3 minutes past, which is within tolerance. Typically, at least when I've worked on the 2824s, you want the date disc to turn over within 5 minutes before or after 12 for the minute hand. So that is within tolerance. There's the tolerances that I have worked with for this model. With Rolex, you want them really within 1 or 2 minutes. Right, this is the seconds hand. And there we go. Ooh, it's I might just raise that hand just slightly. I might just raise it just a little bit. Because these hands are quite thick. But regardless, that's the movement done. So happy days, dialed hands are on, movement is all good. The last thing now would be to case it up. I'll have a look into it, but I still don't really want to use my aluminium dies to press the bezel down. I just don't want to risk any marks. I might just wait until I can use some nylon ones. Be a bit easier. Less risk as well. It looks like it was getting quite tight. Actually, what clearance? Sorry, I'm just to make sure everything is perfect before I case it up. There's like a lump on the hands, which imagines the luminous. There's very, very little space. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually just going to raise the seconds hand just a little bit. Just to kind of mitigate any risk of them clashing. I may have actually just removed it straight from its post. Just got to be very careful. I think that's good. Beautiful. Okay, so movement is done. Here is the now clean case. Let me zoom out. Hello. And this is a 3-piece case, which goes, well, the movement comes out through the front. So I'll take off the stem, place the movement into the case, and then try and secure it from the back. I'm actually going to get my puffer. Just try and clean up any hairs as well. Give me 1 second. Alright, got my puffer. I see some hairs just lying around, which you don't want. Okay. So I'm just going to remove the stem. And place it inside the movement. Sorry, place the movement inside the case. I'm not fitting the bezel right now, but what I'm going to do is use the bezel as like a support to prevent the movement from coming out. Which should allow me to put in the case screws from the back. Okay. So now the movement is secured to the case. I'm also going to put a little bit of fumble lube on the tube. This should just slide in. Alright, screw down function works. It's looking lovely. The only other thing movement wise to do is to fit the rotor weight and the case back. So the movement's all done. So I might as well just get the case back on. Obviously once we've done the rotor weight, I'll take it apart later just to check timekeeping, make any adjustments that may be necessary. There we go. So I have to get it properly engaged. And then a little bit of oil on the ball bearing. we go. And then the case back will fit the gasket. There we go. Gasket's on. I'm just going to clean the glass, give it a puff, and then get it fitted. I was going to put 2 screws in for the time being. Just to hold it. Also means now the back is covered and protected. Which means we've only got the front. I'm going to have a little look at my glass pressing tool. Maybe I can put like a cloth or something over the bezel as I press it. Can act as a protector. It's a good option actually, I can do that. Let me have a little look, because if I can get this case up, that'd be lovely. Okay, well here's my glass press tool. Just want to see what dies I have that might be the right size for this bezel. Okay, sadly, the biggest die that I have basically sits around the glass. So it could work, but I'm not going to risk it. I could just put this straight through the glass and then bust the dial, which is not what we want. Ideally what I want is a die that will sit around the bezel, securing it. Sadly I don't have that, so for the time being, the constant is now as far done as I can get it. Which means we'll have to move on to something else. Before I go on to the next thing, I'm just going to take a quick break. I need to use the loo, so I will be back in a few minutes. And we'll probably move on to the 7750, the Oris. See if we can sort out that issue. And maybe I can start the strip down on another watch. Maybe, we'll see. Give me a few minutes and I will be back with you. Okay, and I'm back. Good job. Yeah, actually looks quite nice. As I said, the last thing to do is just get that bezel fitted. And then, yeah, test it, see how it does. On to the next. 1 second. There we go. Let me get my finger cots back on and we'll move on to the next job. I can hear an airplane going overhead. Yeah, let me put this watch aside. And I can move on to this Oris, the 7750. Right, so we'll put this to the side for the time being. And we can now move on to our good friend, the 7750. Just making sure the stream's holding up. Connection's still good. Nearly at 2 hours again. Jesus. So, yesterday we were doing the 7750. We got it pretty much completed, but we're having some issues with the chronograph. And the best way to deal with, or rectify this issue, would be to get it into the case, and we can actually, yeah, get into the case, and then we can access the back a lot easier. It's still so trippy that this is a left-handed watch. I might just quickly brush the case as well. Get rid of some of this gunk. As you probably see, got a bit of a build up. I don't want to put it through the ultrasonic just because it will damage the insert. So I'm just going to just brush it a little bit. And also maybe a bit of pegwood, just kind of hand cleaning it a little bit. Actually, that's caked on. Ooh, damn. Okay. There is a lot of gunk. Pull it out to main cam. So the way that this watch goes together is the movement sits inside this ring, and this ring is then clamped in between a two-piece case basically. And that's what holds it together and gives it water resistancy. So there's two gaskets that will sit on that ring. And that allows it to be waterproof. So I'm going to spend a few minutes just kind of cleaning it out by hand. So gunged up. And obviously I don't want to damage the insert, nor do I have the tools here to really take this thing apart and case it back up. So there's my dilemma. So just clean it by hand. It'll be good to go. It's dirty. All over my bench now. I was going over with a brush, just removing any residue. Also need a puffer just to get on the inside. Ideally, this needs like a steam, a proper clean, but that'll have to do for the time being. I think I can make that work now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this movement into this ring. I've got the two gaskets here, so let me actually get those two gaskets into place. I did get confused with which way this is meant to go in, so give me 1 second as I try and remember. It's been a while since I've worked on these Orises. It's going to have to go in this way. I would say. There we go. Okay, so movements in position. It's going to refit the stem and crown. Oh, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to fit the case. I'm going to make sure there's no like debris or hairs within the case, that won't be fun. I'm just going to place it over. Actually, there's still more debris in there. For an air compressor might be useful. All right. Just going to use a bit of fumble lube on that tube. I'm also just going to go into zoom cam. One second. There we go. So I'm just going to put a bit of fumble lube around the tube. You can't really see. There you go. And then press it in. Should go in. There we go. Took a little bit of persuasion. Now for the fun part, which was this chronograph. So start, stop, reset. When you hit start, yep, I can see our issue. Our pinion, which is connected to the train, is not engaging with the center wheel. So I just need to make a little adjustment. And now it catches. Okay. So now, when I press start, it will actually catch. I'm actually going to go and get the rest of the case. Might as well hold it together now. Ugh, dear. Actually, we've still got some gunk in here. And this was in the ultrasonic. I'm also going to fit the rotor. Okay, rotor is on. Gonna put a bit of oil on the ball bearing. Tiny bit more. Definitely there's much excess, but just a little cleanup, a little puff, and then to fit the back. Like so. And there's 4 screws that hold the case back in, or hold it down, should I say. Screw those down. And I should. Oh. So when I click the start, you'll see the seconds go round. Stop, reset, start, stop, reset. Beautiful. That is what I was hoping for. Okay. So that is the constant now done as far as I can get it, and the 7750 now basically complete. Probably just need a little bit more cleaning on the case, but we've rectified the issue that I wanted to rectify. Sadly, I didn't really showcase the entire build on that one. It was partly done when I was doing it yesterday, but nonetheless, it is complete. And we are now, what, 2 hours in? 2 hours, 10 minutes into the stream. And I think I'm going to call it a night. I will be live again tomorrow. Still plenty more to do. So have a wonderful evening, everybody, and I will catch you tomorrow. Good night.